Hey there, it's Mike with the Claim Squad Public Adjusters and condo unit owners. This video is for you. You're going to be running through, whenever you have suffered a property damage loss, running through a difficult challenge of having to navigate through a few different policies. See, homeowners deal with only one policy, their own homeowner's policy. As a condo unit owner, you can run into 3 or 4 different policies, and we're going to get into that. Let me ask you, have you had a condo unit that's been damaged previously? So maybe you know how those things occur and all the navigation that you get through with regards to policies and dealing with other people and their insurance companies, or maybe you just had a property damage claim, or maybe in the future you will. This video is going to help all 3 of you. The ones that had it, the ones that have it now, and the ones that may have it in the future. Let's get into it. We're going to break this video down into essentially 3 sections. We're going to talk about the condo association, their policy, which we call the master policy. We're going to talk about your policy as a condo unit owner. And then we're also going to talk about examples of specific property damage claims and what are some of the highest damage claims and what causes those when you're dealing with condo unit owners. One thing I'll talk about briefly is that the H06, which is considered a condo unit policy, is very similar to the H03, which is the most popular homeowners policy. See, they both cover a lot of the same things, if you will, perils we call them. Perils are just occurrences that cause a specific loss, in more specific terms. So let's get right into breaking down the master policy. Here's the document, let's review it together. So when you take a look at the master policy, as I already mentioned, this is the condo association's policy. There's 3 types of policies that the condo association can buy. And the first one is what they call bare walls, so that's a basic coverage. That covers the structure, fixtures, furnishings, walls, floors, and the common areas. For instance, if there's a lobby or a walkway to the elevator, outside area, things of that nature. It doesn't cover the inside of condo units. It covers hallways. The second type of policy is what they call a single entity coverage. So it's everything that was already in the previous number 1, which is the bare walls and basic coverage. But then it also covers built-in the property units, things like fixtures that are in the individual units. So if there's some type of fixture that has already been there, that would be covered underneath the master policy. However, an exception, if you did any improvements, additions, or alterations with your own money in your unit, that would not be covered at all under this specific master policy, which is a number 2 one, single entity coverage, if your condo association has it. Let's move on to number 3. They call this the all-in coverage. So this is the kind of the maximum or top of the line, if you will. Some of them vary a little bit. Some policies depend on the insurance company, but for the most part, they're going to cover everything 1 and 2. But they also add in that all the additions, alterations, or improvements that you did to your unit will be covered underneath that master policy. And again, there can be some exceptions, but normally that is the case. Now let's cover your specific condo unit. Let me put that document up here and we'll take a look at it. So for your specific policy, the 3 most important sections are essentially the building property, which should be A, and that covers the unit itself, the walls, the fixtures, probably your floors, other things. The second most important one is your personal property, which we covered C. So underneath covered C, this covers any personal property, electronics, things of that nature, furniture, loss of use. Normally that's 50% of covered C, which is the personal property. Loss of use pays for you, for the meals, for any type of lodging, hotel, motel, apartment that's needed because of the loss of use of your condo unit. So if you have to have a lot of damage repaired, you're not going to be able to live there when the workers are doing their thing to get everything fixed. Also, if you have water or any other type of damage in a restoration company, it's probably not advisable to live there. Let's get into now a couple different examples of property damage claims with regards to condo units. So what are the most popular types of property damage that we see? It's usually water damage from pipe breaks, AC leaks, roof leaks, and then the other is fire. Every once in a while, depending on the condo, you may find some hurricane, but that's very rare. And then some other things, really, maybe the theft and vandalism. So an example of the difficulty when you're dealing with condo units is that you can have multiple policies involved with. So if we take a look at example 1, a leaky roof is covered by the master policy, as you can see. Now, damage would kick in with your coverage under your policy also if your condo unit was damaged, the floors, and again, it would depend on the master policy on what they cover. If they do not cover your walls and your walls are damaged, that comes underneath your policy. And you can't hold your condo association responsible. So that's going to have to be a claim made underneath your policy. Now, for the second example, let's say that water damage came from a condo unit above you or next to you. More often than not, it's usually above you, okay? And let's say it leaks down, you have ceiling damage, again, we're talking about walls, cabinets, you name it, a lot of things could be damaged. How do you go about that? Well, normally you could be dealing with 3 different policies. The condo unit above you, your insurance policy, and then also the master policy. So it's really a tangled web at times on who covers what, and if they cooperate, and how much they'll pay you. Will they pay you? They won't pay you the full value of what your claim is worth. So you have to decide if you're happy with what they offer you, and if you're happy with money coming out of your pocket. Not only your deductible, but possibly other things. And don't forget, whether it's your insurance company, the condo association's policy, or your upstairs neighbor's policy, the most important thing to remember is insurance companies do not want to pay. And so you're really going to have to fight them. And a lot of times what ends up happening is they do not put the true value and all the items on the estimate that should be paid for, repaired, and you should be getting credit for it. It usually never happens. They'll leave things out. Doesn't matter which insurance company. If we're dealing with 3, all 3 of them will leave something out because they don't want to pay the full value of the claim. And they also won't see damage that probably isn't seen that could be behind the walls. That's why I think it's always important from the start, before you talk with the insurance company, talk to a good public adjuster. Let me also put up the third part, which is we're going to talk about the covered perils. We talked about examples. Covered perils are basically those occurrences which the insurance company will cover. Now in a condo unit, that's fire, hail, water damage would be covered depending on the circumstance, theft and vandalism. And then as you can see, you can also buy, and this will depend on whether or not you think it's worth it by talking with your agent, what they call an open peril, which means everything's covered unless the policy says that it's excluded. Now normally your policy, again we talked about, it's going to cover the interior of your unit. Floors, the walls, cabinets, things and more. But again, that depends on the master policy. So you can see how things can get confusing. So all in all, I think the most critical thing you can do as soon as you have property damage, condo units tend to be smaller. If you're in a high-rise, get a restoration company out there if you have any type of water damage ASAP. Contact your insurance company. Let them know. You don't have to get too much into specifics. And then if you have questions, give me, Mike, a call at the Claim Squad Public Adjusters. I can help you navigate through these insurance policies. If you're already into the claim and the insurance company's not treating you fairly, any of them, I'd be happy to represent you and guide you. It's always easier to start from the beginning of the process and hire a public adjuster early on rather than later on, but as the saying goes, it's better late than never. So I have a lot of experience dealing with these type of situations with condo insurance policies and dealing with 2, 3, 4 different policies. It's nothing unique to me. You just have to know when you deal with so many of these claims, it starts to become a routine. And at the end of the day, it's really about the amount of money to get your unit repaired. That's what we're dealing with. Hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, give me a call. Definitely be willing to help any possible way that I can. Thank you for watching the video.